Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
Well, today's the day Spectrum Health and Beaumont Health of the Metro Detroit area are merging. I'm News 8 digital anchor Luke Laster here from the Wood TV Live Desk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. Joining me is Dustin Walsh. He's a senior reporter at Crains Detroit covering healthcare. Dustin, thanks for taking some time to chat with us this morning. Let's hop right in here. What were your initial thoughts from that press conference yesterday? You spoke with us back in June about this a little bit. Yesterday, what were the takeaways?
Well, I mean, the takeaways were okay, they got the deal done, right? So they passed regulatory hurdles. There were a lot of people sort of suspicious whether they could pass regulatory hurdles because of the Biden administration's new, stauncher look at these sort of hospital mergers. I don't think there was any doubt that it was going to necessarily get through based on in-state mergers and what we know about them. And the other aspect was just that, they picked the board and they picked some of their leadership. I don't think there was any surprise that it was obviously the board members to know, on Detroit, in the Detroit, Southeast Michigan area and out of the Grand Rapids area. It wasn't a surprise to see Doug DeVos or some of the other ones from that area on the board. And I think that was all we really learned yesterday. There wasn't anything really new. They hadn't discussed whether they would be consolidating anything, and how much we knew about what was going to change. They didn't even pick a name. So not a lot has changed since June as far as we know.
Let's talk immediate impact then. Where do we stand, I guess, kind of moving forward here? Like what happens next week, a month from now, things like that?
Right. So that was my question is like, when do we start seeing changes? They were pretty adamant about saying nothing changes. If you go to a doctor at Spectrum or Beaumont, you won't notice anything change. The signage won't change. It'll still say Spectrum. It'll still say Beaumont on your bills, for instance. So there's no immediate changes that we know of so far. I think the changes we may see in Detroit, or at least in the Southeast Michigan market, is we're going to see sort of a larger priority health push. I mean, this is my sort of conjecture and speculation at this point. I think the priority health play in Southeast Michigan is going to be big for Spectrum here. And we may see sort of a rehauled marketing campaign for Beaumont. Beaumont was one of the most successful marketers in this area, in the competitive market in Southeast Michigan for a long time. People from this area will always recognize the slogan of like, do you have a Beaumont doctor? And so I suspect we'll see a little more of the marketing push over here. I'm not sure we're going to see a whole lot of change in the western market in Grand Rapids.
This is going to be the largest employer in the whole state of Michigan. Moving forward with jobs, is there creation there, or is it just kind of some more of those same positions?
Right. I think we're going to be naive to say that they're going to be necessarily growing through this acquisition. Obviously, every healthcare provider in the country is hiring right now. There are plenty of jobs that need to be filled. But at the end of the day, a merger of this size, there are going to be redundancies that get, sort of cut away. So I think whether it ends up being more job losses or more job gains, I think it's going to be relatively arbitrary because it's going to probably equal out to be the same. I think the long-term question, though, with what happens is, what do they use this merger for? I think the long term, when we think about it, just connecting the West Michigan and Southeast Michigan isn't going to be enough. I think you're going to see other targets, whether that be up north, whether that be, Central Michigan. I think that's going to be the play, is for them to become even more dominant.
Any potential prospects of what could be the next system, and maybe a timeline of that?
In healthcare, it's impossible to know. I mean, merger talks are pretty much consistent in healthcare. The only real way forward is consolidation. We don't see a lot of independent healthcare companies left. Most are health systems now. So I don't know. I mean, I think taking on something like, and this is complete speculation, no one has ever mentioned this to me, but I think Sparrow is one that holds ripe. It's a solid health system. It connects the next largest city, basically in Michigan. Or somewhere up north. I mean, I don't know if Munson's actually pretty sizable for being a sort of rural health department, but and Spectrum has been in talks to acquire them before and unsuccessfully did so. But I do think you are, and I don't know how many years from now that might be, turning Beaumont around is going to be probably the primary concern. But Spectrum has historically proven itself to be a very good operator of hospital systems. So I don't know how long that could take.
One of the biggest things that, we're talking West Michigan and then Southeast Michigan, complete opposite ends of the state, in terms of getting specialty care to those individuals who may need it. I guess, how does that bump that up a little bit?
It's going to be different. I mean, Southeast Michigan is a far more competitive market. And the west side, Grand Rapids, is more homogenized, right? So Spectrum was able to really kind of dominate that market relatively quickly when it decided to. Basically, with Tina Fries-Decker sort of at the helm or close to the helm. So they were able to sort of gobble up a lot of these smaller providers. Southeast Michigan has lots of large health systems. We're a big competitive market, comparatively so. And so I don't know what troubles Spectrum will run into with specialty care, but I mean, it's going to take investment. And also they're competing in a different realm, right? I mean, we're talking high union contracts with insurance companies. We're talking obviously a larger population of minorities, a larger population of poverty on the southeast side. So I mean, I think it's definitely going to be sort of a sea change for them to adapt to. But I don't know how care is going to be, how specialty care is going to improve or not. I assume it should, but we don't know.
Justin Walsh with Crains Detroit. Sir, anything else that you'd like to add here?
Yeah, I think the important thing to watch here, the important thing to note is that, with Tina Fries-Decker now the head of the largest employer in the state of Michigan, a good 18,000 jobs more than General Motors employs in the state of Michigan. The two largest companies now in the state are run by women, and I'm not sure many other states can say that. They're basically the bosses of 3% of our entire 4-point-whatever million labor force. These are two massive companies, and I think it's notable to see that in sort of this day and age when we haven't seen that in a lot of other places.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a link attached to this stream. It'll take you over to woodtv.com. You'll be able to watch this stream back if you would like and read up on the news here that we were just discussing. This has been a look at the Wood TV Live Desk. My name is Luke Laster. Justin Walsh, thank you again for taking some time to chat with us. Have a great afternoon, folks.